Hi folks, welcome to or welcome back to Exposed, and if I'm welcoming you back and you like it here, I'd love it if you subbed and stayed. Right, I've just watched the Harry interview on ITV with Tom Bradby, and I could sum it up in one sentence really. He hates the press. He blames the press for everything, and he thinks the palace is in collusion with the press, and basically that's it. So that's just saved you an hour of your life. I took loads of notes, and I just know that I'm not going to be able to read my writing or understand what the point was I was trying to make. Anyway, in the intro they played this thing. I've written it down again later, but I may as well mention it now because I might whiz past it and not notice. He thought it was important to acknowledge the drug taking. Why? And Tom Bradby said, don't you believe as a member of the monarchy it was of public interest? No, it wasn't. None of us give a flying fuck if he's taking drugs. Really? What? Young boys experiment. End of sentence. End of story. He's going to lose his virginity at some point. He's probably going to dabble in drugs at some point. He's probably going to get shit-faced drunk and fall out of a pub at some point. He's going to do all that anyway. That's not of no importance to me. Why do I need to know that? I didn't see the point of that. They said the first question was why? Why are you doing this, Harry? And that's my question as well, Harry. Why? He says people have been putting a spin on his life and it's time for him to tell the truth. And at the end he said something about he wanted it to be historically correct. I suppose at some point in the future people will look back like they did with King George and Wallis Simpson and say, oh, I wonder why they buggered off to America. What was that all about? But they don't need a book, a Netflix series, and a whole load of bloody interviews, Harry. You could have a historian write the historical parts of your life, the important bits, and leave the arguing with your brother and your dad behind closed doors. See, I've written something down, I've no idea why. Oh, nobody wanted to know the warts and all version, Harry. We didn't. That was the thing, we don't need to know. He says there's two sides to every story. It depends on how many people were in the room as to how many sides to a story there is. It's like what's going on with my family. I just found out something today that I didn't want to know. But when you look, my cousin's version of how we grew up, my version of how we grew up, my mother's version, my grandmother's version, my aunts and uncles' versions, they're all going to differ. Nobody's going to agree. At the end of all this, all I can see is a hurt young man who feels he was hard done to, and he'll never forgive the press or the paps for killing his mother. End of story. Now, if he had to get that out of his system to feel better, why couldn't he have done that in the therapy chair? Why did he need to write a book and do a Netflix series and do 10 million interviews all around the world? You didn't need to do that, Harry. None of it was necessary, any of it. He says he's been living for 6 years privately. Okay, whatever. They left fearing for their lives. I need to watch the Netflix thing to find out why they felt their lives were in danger, because I don't understand that. They said the same thing on the Oprah interview, didn't they? Something about they fled because they felt they were in danger. And then he said to him about Archie. You said in the Oprah, Meghan said in the Oprah interview about the royals being racist, and Harry says, no, we never said they were racist. And he said, but you spoke about them talking about the colour of Archie's skin. And he said, yeah, they were unconsciously biased. And they need to do something about that. But it never meant they were racist. And then he's saying, right, did anyone see the recent hoo-ha with the Queen's Lady in Waiting and a black lady from a charity? And the whole conversation was written out, and she said, oh, where are you from? And she said, I'm from Brixton or wherever, Streatham, Deptford, whatever. And she, oh no, I mean, where are your people from? And she was like, oh no, I was born here. No, but where are you from originally? And she kept on and on and on and on and on and on and on. That is racist. Harry just sat there and said that wasn't. Huh? He knew she didn't mean to be rude or anything. Well, neither did your fucking family, Harry. But you had to Meghan had to put that out there. That they said something about Archie's skin. What would be the colour of Archie's skin? And then he says, oh, any biracial family, the white side are always going to have that conversation. So why did you make a big... No, rather, why did your wife make a big deal out of it then, Harry? Did you not see that? Were you not there? Did you not listen? Did you not see the uproar that caused? See, when you say things and don't think about them and the other person gets hurt, you don't feel the hurt, they do. Which is why you're sat there now being a hurt little boy, because they may have said something that they didn't think was hurtful. You all need to get in a fucking room and bang your heads together is what you need to do, or give it up as a bad game. You say you're happy, you're at peace, you've got your family and your wife and you're doing what you're doing, and well, stay there then. Stay there and shut up, Harry. Do you really think that your granny would approve of what you're doing? That poor woman fought the end of her life without her husband, with fucking bone cancer, to the last day, and you have to come in stomping about like a child and moan. If I don't stand up to the press, no one will. Why don't you do like most people in this country are doing? Don't fucking read it. Yes, we know the papers are all laid out at breakfast in every palace. But you have the rules in your house. I don't want the press in here every morning, thank you very much, Mr. Butlerman. Just bring the eggs, please. You didn't have to read it. Can you not see that it's the paps and the press and the TV that have put a wedge between you and your family? And all your brother and your dad want you to do is to sit down and fucking grow up and stop blaming everybody else for your problems. Life's hard. Your mother died when you were 12. Yeah, that was wrong, but it happened. You can't change that. You think the paps got away with it? They probably did. But what are you going to do about it now? You can't. Go to therapy, shout and scream, cry, hit a few pillows, and then just put it to bed. Because if you keep dragging it up and dragging it up and dragging it up, all it's going to do is upset you. He said he didn't want history to repeat itself. I'm sorry. In no way did Meghan have to endure what your mother did. Nowhere near. Every time Meghan went out, she was with you or another member of the family. She wasn't chased to her yoga class and back. I don't know where he thinks Meghan got the same... Because it's from Meghan. Harry, I don't feel safe. Harry, you have to protect me. Harry, you don't want what happened to your mum to happen to me, do you, Harry? She played and pulled on every fucking string she could. He feels guilty because he only cried at the burial. It's like he said they went out. He felt guilt because him and William went out. I think it was the night before the funeral, and they shook hands with people, and they didn't understand why people's hands were wet, and he didn't understand why they were smiling. Because that's the way you'd been brought up. Show no emotion when you're outside the palace walls. Just nod, smile, shake hands, and then if you want to let rip, when the door's shut, do whatever the fuck you want, where no one can see you. Then he was going on about having to walk behind the coffin. Now, I totally understand it being a hell of a long walk, and a hell of a lot of people were watching them. But people do that all the time, Harry. I had to walk behind my grandmother's coffin at 16. I know people that walk behind their parents' coffins at 12. It's what you do to show respect for the person in the coffin. All you have to do is zone out the people that are watching you. Yes, it would have been hard, I totally understand. But you were used to public engagements. You were used to going out and having half the world looking at you. So this was no different. How would it have looked if you and William hadn't walked behind the coffin? It would have looked like you didn't care. Yeah, and then he was saying that he got to look at all the information about when Diana died. And he said all he saw were the paps shooting and shooting and shooting and not helping. That's where it all comes back to. That is the problem. And you're hurt, and you're still hurt, and you can say you've cleared your head now and everything's sorted and all the rest of it. Every time I've got it written here, press, paps, press. That's all he's talking about. He said things should have changed and they haven't. I think things are a hell of a lot fucking better than they were. Don't you remember when William went to Eton and they said, oh, Diana was still alive then, wasn't she? But they said, can you just take pictures of him going in and leave him alone? And they did. He thinks that the royals have got the press in their back pocket and they're feeding them things that they want to do stories on. And that when they could step in and say, no, that's wrong, they don't do it. They don't do it for anyone, Harry. The wire into the microphone just decided to flip out on me, and I've been fiddling about with it for ages. Then my husband came in with a coffee and we had a conversation. Now I have absolutely no idea what I've said beforehand or where I left off. So if I repeat myself, I apologise now. Pardon me. He reckons certain people got into bed with the press. And then he told this story, and I really felt sorry for Charles. He said he didn't think Pa was ever made out to be a parent, and certainly not a single parent. And he sat him down once and told him all his problems. And Charles looked at him and said, I suppose all this is my fault. That's quite sad, isn't it? And thankfully, Harry said, no, but it's not your fault, but thanks for the apology, which is nice. He says he adores his father and his brother and his family, and he wants to be back with his family, not the institution. But as the interviewer said, and all of us are thinking, so why do this then? have a break, have a fight, do whatever it is you need to do, get the space between you, and then sort things out if there's things to sort out. But I don't think there will ever be all of you sat round the table playing Monopoly again while Meghan's got a big fucking stirring spoon. I understand you have fallen in love with her head over heels and you think she's the best thing since sliced bread. But if all of your family are saying things, are you not going to stop and think, hang on, they've always had my back. Maybe I should take a step back and look at this. But it's too late now. You're in over your head. You've been married to her for forever. Hasn't time whizzed by? You've got 2 children who you adore. You're stuck with her now. And if you ever come to your senses, or you see what others see, and you decide that, oops, I've made a mistake, you're fucked, Harry. Big time. Royally. Because she's going to screw you for everything you've got and put you on limited fucking visits with the kids. I can see it coming now. So, I hope you're making a lot from all these Netflix money grabs and books and interviews and whatever, because you're going to need it. And you can keep going on about you ran for your safety. If anyone needed to run for their safety, it was your mother. Meghan was never in that situation, ever. I saw a thing a while back. I could say a couple of weeks. It could have been a couple of years. No, in my head. I don't know. I've got no concept of time anymore. But I saw this picture of Meghan pregnant, standing with a see-through skirt, and someone had taken a picture so you could see her legs in the skirt, and all I could see was Diana. And it's like, how many times have you done that? How many times have you set stuff up to pull on Harry's heartstrings? I mean, I love the way Kate dresses the kids. I loved how when she took them to special occasions, at whatever age they were at, she put them, like George mainly, in outfits that William had worn. And I thought it was so cute. What Meghan's doing is twisted. I'm sorry. Try and have a picture like her dead mother-in-law. Weird. Right, what else have I written down? I've put delusional and paranoid. I don't know who that is. Her, him, the press, or all of them. Understands relationship with the press. Delusional and paranoid. No idea. He says Camilla leaked information. And that she played the game to get married to Charles. No, she fucking didn't. Really? They were in love for years. Charles wanted to marry Camilla. She didn't have to play any game or do any jiggery pokery in the background. She already had the guy. She just needed to wait, bide her time, the pair of them, until they could get married and not have the whole of the world screaming at them. She did this. I don't think she did anything. She's been painted as the Wicked Witch of the West, and I really feel sorry for her. How many people, right, go to university or whatever, fall in love with somebody, come home, say to their parents, oh, I'm in love with such and such, we're going to get married. And the parents are like, congratulations. Charlie didn't get that, did he? He's like, I want to marry Camilla, and his mum's like, you can't. You're next in line to the throne, you can't do that. For right or wrong, She stuck by the rules. By the time it got to William and Harry, she was like, oh, for fuck's sake, marry who you want, I'm done. None of it worked. Fucking Anne was divorced, Margaret got divorced, Andrew got divorced, Charles got divorced. Do you know what I mean? She was like, oh, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't care anymore. Marry the dustman. Doesn't bother me. I can't wait till I'm out of it and I don't have to make the decisions. And then he's saying that Camilla connived her way into being Charlie's wife. She didn't. I don't believe a word of it. She was always going to be Charlie's wife. He should have been let marry her in the first place. I stand by that. It was stupid to... But then those were the rules, wasn't it? You're a royal. There's rules. There's rules in lots of families. Lots of Muslim families put their foot down and say their children have to marry someone who's Muslim. Or you have to marry someone from where you were born. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's done. That's the thing that's done. Charles knew that he was the heir to the throne and that he had to marry somebody that would give him an heir and a spare, as awful as it sounds. Maybe he was hoping that she'd leave him and then he could live quietly ever after with Camilla. Who knows? But he was always made to look the bad guy because she died. And accidents happen. Everyone was saying, everybody remembers where they were. I remember where I was. I was in our first home in North Wales. And I came down with the baby, put the telly on, and they're like, you remember the first time you met Diana, don't you? And I thought, what the hell are they going on about? My husband was upstairs having a shave. And I'm like, you're not going to believe this. He's like, what? Diana's dead. He's like, fuck off. And I'm like, no, really, Diana's dead. But she'd been put on such a pedestal that she could do no wrong. I never liked the way she tilted her head and looked up at you with those... Sly. I used to get sly off of her. But the more I've watched about her since she died, the more I think I was being a little hard on her. But it was wrong that she died. Everyone can hold their hands up and say it was wrong that she died, but it was an accident. Well, you can blame the Paps. Had they not been there, the accident may not have happened. But you don't know. It's like I keep saying, had we never moved from North Wales to Yorkshire, maybe my husband wouldn't have broken his back and I wouldn't have been so fucking stressed that I ended up with fibro. Who knows? We could have something could have happened there the same. If something's meant to happen, it's meant to happen, I think. And I don't think anything can make any difference. If it's fate, it's fate. But he was at an age where it hit hard. He was only 12. And like a lot of people are saying, that's where he still is. 12 years of age. He's still that little boy that needs a cuddle. I just don't get why he's doing this. I just do not understand. So what else have we got? Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. I've written bollocks, Harry, in capital letters. What was that? Oh yeah. My wife and I were scrutinised more than anyone else. Bollocks, Harry. Really? Go back in time. See what they did to your auntie Mark. Not auntie. Is she an auntie? No, hang on. Great aunt. Whatever. Go back and look at what they did to Margaret. Go back and look at what they did to Anne. Go back and look at what they said about your grandfather. Go back and look at what they said about Charlie, about Andrew, about Fergie. It's the press. The press are twats. They want to sell papers. They want to earn money. They're a different breed to the rest of us, and they will always be that way. At the end of the day, your problem is with the press, not your family. And you're blaming your family for things that they couldn't change. Going on about the sibling rivalry and being ignored at Eton, that was funny. He said when he started Eton, he was like, "Hey Willie, I'm here, come on, let's hit the pub." And William's like, "Fuck off, go away. I don't know who you are, strange boy." And he said he's only realised now, watching Archie and Lily, because he said Lily wants to be all over Archie, and Archie's like, "Go away, I need my space." He said he's finally understanding it. And it's like, yes, there's a lot you need to understand, because you've grown up in a bubble. And had you been married to anyone else, I think they would have said, "Sit down, shut up, Harry. You've had a privileged life. You've had everything handed to you. And there you are, whining and moaning like a toddler. Shut up. You're making it worse." So he introduced Meghan to Wills and Kate, and they didn't get on. But he loves Kate. That was going to happen, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It depended on who you brought home. He said he had the idea that it'd be the four of them against the world, whoever it was, even before he'd met Meghan. And then he brings Meghan home and she's not the hit he thought she was going to be. And it's like, did you ever ask them why? Oh, I'm melting. I need to put my fan on. Sorry. Did you ever ask them why they didn't like her? And wasn't there a rule? Or was that just for Wills, where the Queen said, date for 5 years before you commit to marriage? Because she wanted to make sure there was not another fucking divorce in the royal family. But when it got to Harry, was it a case of, well, it doesn't really matter if you divorce because you're not the future King of England? I think Harry should have been made to do the same that Wills did with Kate. Wait. And then Meghan's true colours would have come out. Everybody would have seen what she was in it for, including him. I don't know what it is. I think he was just excited to meet somebody that had no fucking clue about the royal family or the ins and outs or the do's and don'ts and where he'd pissed last, because she was an American and hopefully didn't watch or read everything about the royal family growing up. I mean, it's a great thing. That's how I felt when I met my husband. It was like we'd gone to Wales to work and we were just Jools and my husband, whose name I'm not saying. But we were just that. No one asked me who my mother was, what job I'd done before then, blah, 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 blah. It was just, you were taken by your first name. People liked you or they didn't. End of story. That was it. And there was no baggage. And I'm sure when Harry met Meghan, that's how he felt. Because she didn't know the ins and outs of his life. And she was freer and not as stuck up, maybe, as all the people he'd been around while he was growing up. I don't know. Fab Four created by the... Oh, he's saying the Fab Four was created by the press. Hold on. I've lost thread of where I am. Do you understand? Yeah, you get it, don't you? I've got a head like a shed. Stereotyping barrier. Oh, he said that the press stereotyped Meghan and the family went along with it, that she was this American actress, biracial divorcee. How do you stereotype an American actress, biracial divorcee? I don't think you can. And he's saying that this, that and the other and everyone was against. No, they weren't. Maybe the press did do racial things, I don't know, because I didn't read the bollocks, but the impression I got, most people took Meghan in. They were like, wow, how novel is this for the Queen to allow a biracial divorcee, when there was all that hoo-ha with Margaret and, was it Peter Townsend? Whoever it was back in the day. And Anne couldn't marry a divorcee, and then in the end she went ahead and did it, and they've been together ever since. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone was stereotyping anyone, because you couldn't put her in any box because there were so many boxes for her to be in. Wedding crying never commentated. What in the hell is that about? Oh, never comment. Right, that's all the hoo-ha over who made who cry. There was a story in the paper that Meghan made Kate cry, and he said the truth of it was Kate made Meghan cry and came around the next day with a bunch of flowers to, I feel like I've just said this, but anyway, to apologise, and the press never changed their story. Why would they? He expected the palace to go to the press and make them retract the story. And it's like, why can't you just let it go, Harry? You know they lie. You've grown up all your life with them lying. They told lies about your mother. They told lies about your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, everybody. Why should you be any different? Just ignore them. The press are crap. We know that. Then he said there was a row about his beard. He went to the Queen and asked could he keep his beard for his wedding, and that William was pissed off because he had to shave his beard off when he got married. Is that really... Did that really have to go in the book? Really? Never will. Oh, I can't even read my own writing now. Meg's difficult, abrasive and upset staff. He said that was wrong. But I beg to differ. There's lots of people that have come out of the woodwork and said that she was abrasive. Didn't William say she was abrasive? There's a start. Not the first time he quoted the press. Oh, who knows? Then he went on about the dog bowl thing. Really, Harry, you were a soldier. Shut the fuck up. He said that when that happened, William said to him, come on, hit me. You'll feel better if you hit me. And Harry said, do what? And William said, we always used to fight. You'll feel better if you hit me. And he said, no, only you will. Get out. And William went and sat in the sitting room for 2 minutes and then came back and apologised. He's been doing therapy. Oh, that was it. He said he'd been doing therapy, so he didn't have the red mist that William had. That was a thing. He said when they did sit down, what was it, at Prince Philip's funeral, they were all together and William said to him, listen to me, on Mummy's life. And he said those were the 3 words that they never used, only if they wanted to call a halt to things and make a point, and it would be the truth, but he didn't believe him. And it's like, who's got the problem? If your dad and your brother are trying to get through to you while you're there for Philip's funeral, and you're choosing not to listen to them. Now you've gone back to America and you're writing books and whinging and whining that they're not listening to you. And then he's going on and on and on about people leaking things to the press. Did he ever consider the fact that Meghan might have been leaking stuff to the press? Just a thought. Yeah, then he's going on about the racist thing, that they never said that the palace was racist. Yeah, you did. When you were going on about the colour of Archie's skin, and you said that he wasn't going to get a title, and that blah, 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 and now you're saying that didn't happen. It did happen. We saw you on Oprah, only I can't remember all the ins and outs of it. He said with peace comes, only with the truth comes peace. And it's like, how many families have a family row? And this side says one thing and the other side says the other thing, and someone else says somebody else. Why can you not all just meet in the middle and say fuck it? We, Pa, Willie and Harold, we three are the only three people that knew what it was like to live through that time when Mum died. We are the only family we have. Dysfunctional as it may be, it's ours. And we need to keep in contact with each other and stop shouting about each other outside and giving the press more stories than they know what to do with. He said staying silent won't make it better. And silence allows the abuser to abuse. What a fucking line to use. Really? Is this something your fucking therapist told you? Again, I say it. Shut up, Harry. For fuck's sake. He's got no idea what it's like living in the real world, and he's fucking whinging and whining about next to nothing. And in big letters, I just put, he's hurt. He's hurting. He's lashing out. He hasn't grown past 12. He thinks they should have done more for him than they did. And they did the same as they do for William and Kate as they did for him and Meghan. I don't understand where he's coming from. I really don't. And then he says, he said he'll serve his country from abroad, whatever. He said, I spoke about Caroline Flack in the book. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have spoken about fucking Caroline Flack in the book, Harry. Maybe you should have just left that little piece private. But he thought the way he spoke about it was showing how bad the press was. No, it was just showing how fucking, what's the word? Not uneducated, it just proves that you've had such a fucking privileged life that you don't realise what you're saying. For those who don't know, Caroline Flack was a beautiful young lady who worked on the television here, and she had a row with a boyfriend, and the press threw it all out of proportion and said that she was a abusive girlfriend and she'd hit him with a lamp and blah 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 blah, and it was going to go to court. And he wanted to stand up and say, look, don't take it to court, it's a load of bollocks, she didn't hurt me, we had a row, somebody got cut, it wasn't as big a deal as you're making it out to be. But the press went on and on and on about it, so Caroline killed herself. At some point before then, she dated Harry, and the paper had called her Harry's piece of rough, and he put that in his book. Girl's dead, leave her alone. You didn't need to rehash that. But he had to tell the story because he said she couldn't cope with the press coverage, and so that's why they split up. It's just another dig at the press. We get it, Harry. You don't like the press. You've said it enough times. We get it. We understand. But you're in a position where you can just switch it off and you don't have to read it. It's the same as I said about Lisa the other night. What other people think about you is not your fucking... Not your what? What other people think about you is not your... Oh, for the love of God. If I ever had a brain... Anyway... None of your business. That's it. Yay! Whoever was shouting that out, thank you. If you're going to continue to read the stories that the press do and complain about them, you're never going to get anywhere. It was going on about racism and unconscious bias. Load of bollocks. And then they were saying about... making up. He says, I'm here in California, the ball's in their court. And the bloke interviewing him said, are you looking back too much? And he said, no, now I'm looking forward. I'm at peace. Yeah, now that you've thrown every fucker under the bus. And he wanted it to be historical fact, really. And he went for his safety. That's his final line. Basically... You're emotionally stunted at 12 and you don't like the press and you think that your family should have done more than they did. End of story. That's the one line that we could have just said at the beginning and not bothered with this video, which I think I did do, if I remember rightly. Anyway, I have a few other bits to do and then I'll start watching the Netflix thing. But I've got a feeling it's just going to be a rehash of this. It's just quotes from the book over and over and over again. But she's in the Netflix thing, isn't it? So it might be a bit interesting to see. I want to see, because with Oprah, she had them separate, didn't she? And then she sat them together for a little bit. I want to see the interaction between her and him. And does he give anything away when she says things that aren't true? Or has she got him convinced that all the untruths are true now? Because she's been working on him for so many years. Be interesting to see. Anyway, if you stuck with me this long, thank you very much. And I'll catch you in the next one.